Yeah.
Yo.
How you doing, bro?
Good, man. Good. Just trying to get some stuff done.
I know, right? Me too.
What's up, fellas? How you doing?
Good. Jacob, did you finish your shed one?
Not quite yet, but getting there. How about you?
I'm doing QC now.
Gotcha.
That big building 113, it didn't want it to end, bro.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm on right now. I saved the best for last.
It's keep coming and more stuff.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Right.
I'm starting to wonder if they forgot about or they rescheduled this for another time.
No, it's at 1 o'clock though.
Oh, is it 1 o'clock?
Oh, it's at 1.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dang it!
And
'Cause
that's why I'm like,
I
why are they
I
coming
don't
so early, bro?
I don't see it. Like I don't see it in my calendar.
Yeah, I have it in my calendar at 1 o'clock.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
I just saw that Buddy started the meeting, and I figured that it was starting early. But
Yeah, and that's what I'm like, why is he starting it earlier?
yeah, Buddy.
But I'm like, maybe he knows something. So I'm like, let me go and
Hey, Jacob, that I don't know you, but you got a pretty famous name, dude.
Oh, do I? You know,
You never heard of Blaustein, the
uh
comedian?
no actually, you know what? I think I have. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I
He's
I
funny,
I,
dude.
I wish I was him, but
He he's funny. He's a funny guy.
yeah, he is.
who is
I
he?
saw a couple of his clips when I was scrolling through social media one time, and I was like, am I related to this guy? Possibly. I don't know. And I thought the direction you were going was my name's Jacob and I work at Jacobs. So,
Oh,
but this is actually the first time someone's brought up the comedian. But that's funny you say that. If he's really that funny, I got to listen to some of his stuff. Then I need to. I need some more material.
yeah,
I'm
he
running
definitely
low.
is. Look him up. He's got a lot of stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, he could get a little crazy with some of the
Yeah.
stuff and the
Yeah.
direction that he goes sometimes, but
That's okay.
yeah, just I guess you just got to know that this guy's a comedian, and
Yeah, of course. You got to put
yeah,
that behind you. I get it.
yeah.
You guys see the roast of Tom Brady? I mean, come on, that was off the chains.
You know, I did not see that.
That's probably as unhinged as it gets,
Oh,
to be honest. So
I don't know how he wasn't angry. I was angry for him.
you're angry for him. I think I think he said that he really regretted it after he
Really?
was done. Yeah, he said he regretted doing it.
Yeah. I don't know how he kept it cool like that. I will beat the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Anyway, I don't think we've met before, Adriano. It's good to hear you.
yeah, man, for sure.
Where are you stationed at?
I'm stationed out of Florida now.
Oh yeah, nice. Whereabouts?
Green Cove Springs.
Oh, okay. Is that east or west?
Near Jacksonville.
Oh, okay.
Do you
Yep.
already moved?
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah. I
Where
had
you-
moved back in October.
Oh, okay. But I thought
was
you
still-
just
I was
sold
still-
the other house.
I was still staying in Virginia though.
Oh, okay. Got
Yeah,
it.
I was staying in Virginia until I left Virginia on the 1st of January of this year.
Hmm.
Enjoying the warmth.
It's been pretty chilly here.
Really?
I thought I brought it with me from up north. Today's the first nicest day.
That's great. It's like 30 out right now. It's snowing. I'm up in Albany, New York.
Yeah, here it's like 50,
That's not too bad.
50, 55. Let me see.
Still shorts weather, go out and take a walk.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, this is beautiful compared to the weather that we experienced in the last couple of months.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Did you guys get any snow by any chance?
No, we were lucky. It was mostly the Panhandle that got it.
Oh really?
We just got the winds and like a little bit of freezing rain, but nothing stuck around.
Yeah. I saw pictures. I saw "Welcome to Florida" signs with snow all over the highway,
I know.
and I was thought, what kind of world are we living right now?
Yeah, I saw that.
Awesome, man. I got to get down there. I got to move down to Florida at some point. I'm only 28, but I'm starting to get sick of the cold and thinking about retiring down in Florida already. I can't wait. I got a long time.
Just no insurance here. Any kind of insurance is like double the price, man.
Really?
Yeah, for everything.
What a pain.
Yeah, that's the only problem. Insurance here sucks.
I hear that's going to start causing problems soon, though. So maybe something will change.
Yeah, I hope so because people can like over here. For the people that can't afford it, they're either contemplating whether they're gonna eat or pay their car insurance because
Yeah, that's horrible, isn't it?
yeah, because they have to they actually suspend your license as soon as your insurance is not paid.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's not a good thing for the state of Florida.
No,
I
it
hope
doesn't sound
they
like
do
it.
something about it.
It's funny you mentioned that because I know that they don't even have in the state of Florida, you don't have to get your vehicle inspected. So it's funny that they care about the insurance policies, but not the not the car inspections. Meanwhile, I just moved to New York and I got to get my 3-year-old car inspected every single year, once a year. It's just insane.
Yeah, it's like that in Virginia. It was like that.
Yeah.
You got to get that safety inspection for $20.
Yeah, sounds about right. What's
I
up,
don't know.
JT?
What's up, guys? Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
How are you holding up, JT, after the long weekend?
I'm doing well. I
Yeah?
mean, it's Florida and it's January.
I'm
I
talking
can't do
about
anything else but be doing well.
I'm talking about your birds.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about it. We should have won. And
Yeah.
then, I found myself rooting for Kansas City. I felt really dirty actually
Really?
because I was rooting for Kansas City because I'm like, well, we're definitely better than the Bills. We just didn't play better. So there's no way the Bills are gonna beat the Chiefs. And at the end, I was like, let the Chiefs win.
Yeah. Yeah, let it happen.
But I'm rooting for the Eagles though. I'm a big Saquon fan, so.
Yeah. I was, I got heartbroken, but I'm good now. I think I've sucked it up enough.
There you go.
JT, I know you're probably the only one who can relate to the devastation I felt.
Yes, man.
Oh, it was so bad.
I know. I was just asking about it. I knew you two were probably pretty bummed out when that happened.
I was super bummed. I was in disbelief watching the
That's
screen
an
when he dropped
understatement.
the
I
2-point
know.
conversion.
I couldn't believe pretty much that whole game, but
I know.
yeah. Oh well.
You guys are due. It's coming. It's gotta.
Yeah, I
Right.
think 25 is like has to be it because we're gonna
It's
have too many
gotta.
people leaving. It has to be it, bro.
Starting to
Yeah.
sound like
I
Cowboy
refuse to
fans.
become a Dolphins fan.
Exactly. Never.
Awesome.
Wow, this is a heck of a cast of characters. The usual suspects. Hope everybody's doing good.
Hello,
What's
Mr.
up,
Perry.
Hello. Perry, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How you doing, Adriano?
Pretty good.
Good. Steven, good to see you. Justin.
Long time no see.
Hey, Perry.
I think I know everybody here but JT Johnson. So, hi Jacob, buddy.
Hello, Mr. Jones. How are you?
I'm doing fine, sir.
Great to hear from you, man.
And you also, sir. Dio.
How you holding up down
Yes,
in
Mr. Jones.
I'm doing good, man.
Yeah?
Doing good. Yeah,
Good.
I'm hanging in there pretty good. Getting ready to go to New York and do some work for Elena.
Oh yeah,
So-
whereabouts?
Staten Island, Bronx,
Excellent.
Jamaica.
Oh, you're
uh,
going to Jamaica? It's beautiful
yeah.
this time of year down there.
Yeah, Yonkers. I can only imagine.
No, Jamaica Queens.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Wow. Jimmy, Jay, Brad, and Brian. Wow. And Nancy and Christian. Wow, this is just
Hey.
like man. Everybody's doing good. This is good to see you guys' names, man. All right, I'm gonna shut up and mind my own business. Good seeing everybody though, man. Really good to see your names.
You too, Perry.
You too, Mr. Perry. Can't wait to see you this week.
Thank you, my brothers. Yeah, it's always it is. It'll be good. We'll make it a good trip, man. It's gonna be a good one. We're gonna knock it right out.
For sure.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have 1300 Eastern time, so I figure we should get started. And if anyone else joins along the way, I'm sure they can jump right in and understand what we're talking about. So thanks for making time, all of you that are here for these continuing education sessions that we're doing monthly. Appreciate you setting aside the time. Today's topic is going to be the updater tool, exploring the updater tool. I assume since all of you have done builder work at some point, you do know what it is, but hopefully after Justin's done presenting, you'll feel a little bit more confident in it. Any questions you had might be answered. And on that topic, we do have a Q&A. So I'm going to pass it over to Justin. And just a reminder, this is recorded. So if you want to come back later and watch this, or if you joined a little bit late, you can come back and watch from the beginning. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you, Justin. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, JT. I think I've worked with most everybody that's on the call at this point, but if I haven't yet, my name's Justin Thielman. I'm one of the Builder project managers. And when I have time, I enjoy developing these tools, mainly the Excel macro-based tools that kind of help automate some of our processes and make life a little bit easier for us. I'm going to try and get my other screen going so I can get through the slides. That didn't work. There we go. All right. So on the agenda, I'm going to start off with a brief safety moment for ladder and off-road driving safety. Then we'll talk about downloading the bread file updater tool. I'll go over a couple new features in the current version, which is version 7.6. Those new features are the team lead checkbox and the ability to save reference tables off. Then I'll talk a little bit more about the reference table overview. I'll touch briefly on bread data structure and key terms so that makes a little more sense going into the explanation of automatic updates that the tool is performing. So first, we've already had a couple trips for the builder initial assessments, and during the first trip or two, there were a couple safety concerns that were brought up. So I just wanted to touch on those quickly. I know a lot of you use ladders pretty frequently and have become comfortable with them. We just want to make sure we don't become complacent when we're around ladders. It's important to always inspect the ladder before use, looking for any damage or loose rungs, and especially on extension ladders, making sure that the locking mechanisms are functioning properly. It's always a good idea to wear proper hand protection and, of course, footwear. Ladders, as you know, can become greasy or dirty from boots and can cause your hands or feet to slip. Definitely be aware of sharp pieces on the rungs or on the roof that you're trying to get up on. Sometimes those have flashing or other sharp objects that hang off the sides that could cut your hands if you're not careful. And also ladders a lot of times are left outside and they can become very hot if they're left in the sun, sometimes even hot enough to cause burns. Finally, always use 3 points of contact whenever you're on a ladder. So that's 2 hands and 1 foot or 2 feet and 1 hand. Moving on to off-road driving safety. Obviously, off-road driving can be dangerous if proper safety precautions aren't taken. So always remember to be prepared, know your vehicle and your route, and to take it slow and steady anytime that you need to drive off-road. So plan your route, make sure that it is the safest route that you can take. Always look for paved roads when that's an option. Make sure that the site coordinator or someone who's staying back knows where you're going and when you expect to return. That way, if you get stuck or stranded somewhere, they know where to look for you. And make sure that your vehicle has all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive and the appropriate clearance if you plan to do any off-road driving. I know some of the sites that we're going to do use unpaved roads, so that's something that we've had to consider when we're renting vehicles, just something to keep in mind. And last but not least here, know when to turn back. So if you encounter an obstacle or just a really sketchy looking road that you're not comfortable with, it's always better to turn back than to risk an accident or somebody getting injured. Know your limits and the limits of your vehicle and don't push past them. And I'll just reiterate, I know they talked about this a little bit on the step back call I was on, but every Jacobs employee has the authority to stop work if you feel that a situation is unsafe. So please take advantage of that. You will not be, you'll not get in any kind of trouble. That's not looked down upon if you do decide to stop work and bring that to someone's attention. Okay, jumping into the tool, I'll start with downloading the bread file updater. So to do that, the latest version of the updater tool can always be downloaded from the QC tool website. Most of you are familiar with that by now, but if you're not, I've included the link there. You will log in with your Jacobs network name. That's the first 6 letters of your last name plus the first letter of your first name, and your Jacobs network password. You can contact Jerry Boquin or someone on the QC team if you need assistance with logging into that QC tool website. Once you're there, you can click on the link and download the latest version of the tool. I think it's always a good idea to go and do that at the beginning of a trip, just to make sure you are using the latest version. Something that I'm hoping to implement is a module that could be put into all of these tools to make sure that you're using the latest version. But as it stands right now, I just send emails out whenever tools are updated, and inevitably, people get missed on those emails. So it's always a good idea to go and just download that file from the website before a trip. And that way you'll always know you're using the latest. Next, I'll cover those 2 new features in the current version. So starting with the team lead checkbox, this is just a new checkbox you'll see next to the assessor name. Definitely be sure to check this box if you were the designated team lead for that trip. This will make sure that only the team lead's facility changes will be retained in the bread file. So that way when QC goes to merge all of the team's bread files together, they're not going to get a mix of everybody's, building level changes. It's only going to consider the changes that the team lead made. And this includes the building level comment, the year constructed, building area, and number of floors. And I put an asterisk on those last 3 just as a reminder that anytime you run into a real property discrepancy with any of those, make sure to report those to the site coordinator. If you don't, we make that change and that gets loaded into Builder. But if the information is not changed by the client or by the site personnel, their real property record will continue to be inaccurate. So the next time that they do a real property top load into Builder, it'll overwrite whatever values we changed. Any questions on any of this so far?
Hey, Justin.
Yes.
One thing I wanted to point out is some assessors used to like to make notes in the building comment to remind themselves of certain aspects of the building. And we kind of directed them away for that for a while, but this kind of lets them use that field however they want at this point, so they don't have to worry about any overriding anybody else's comment.
That's correct.
The other thing is, just because you're not the team lead doesn't mean you don't still need to update the building square footage and number of floors in your file, and that will make your QC report run a lot cleaner. Because if you have the wrong number of floors or the wrong square footage and your data doesn't reflects the new numbers, but the old numbers are in at the building level, you're going to get a lot of hits. So you still need to fix that.
Yeah, great point. And I'll just add to that yes, the assessors can still make those changes in their file and should. This checkbox just ensures that only the team lead's changes are the ones that are actually uploaded to Builder. And then I see Nancy's hand up also. Go ahead.
So I'm already putting that information along with a background, or at least a backup regarding the fact that the building is 22 by 32, as an example, and it is this, it was field verified, it is not this, it is this. Having other team members change it. But are you saying that then what I still need to do is follow up with somebody at QC with an email saying change this in Builder?
Yes. And
Okay.
basically, so the QC team will see it in the building level comment, but just to make sure that it's not missed, that email to follow up should be sent to the site coordinator because they're the one that is going to track all of those changes in the master schedule and get that information back to site personnel so that they can update their real property records.
Okay, so just real quick. Last project, Aniston. So that would be a site coordinator was Monica for the first week, Alexi for the second. Can I just so I should send as team lead, I should send an email to Monica regarding square foot or floor changes because there were a couple of both to the bread file, even though I've got
Correct.
that information. Oh, okay. I will do that.
Yes. Yeah, and even if someone does act as site coordinator when Monica's not there, Monica is the designated site coordinator for all of the new FCAs, all the initial assessments.
And that should just be done on a straight email to her, not on, okay, there's no formal place to put that.
No, not really a formal place. It's definitely good to have it documented in that assessor building notes spreadsheet that I know you've been updating. But it's good to send Monica either a Teams message or an email, just so that she's got that reminder to go in and make that note in the schedule and our official building list.
Thank you.
Sure, thanks. Any other questions before I move on?
Not a question, but I hope a little bit of clarity.
Sure.
And that, so Nancy, rebaseline, building square footage was not a contractual obligation. So there was no avenue to say that site coordinator to PM has to supply the client with a discrepancy list, right? So each project still might be slightly different, but you're back into now Aniston and a project that's all new assessment, which is back into that process of ensuring that information makes it as a client deliverable.
So what you're saying is that it needs to be kind of we need to site by or project by project clarify that. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ensure that it's communicated as Justin is sharing now.
Okay.
We have many processes. One being that you have end of day reporting. Well, most of the time, architect doesn't know discrepancies at that point, so you're not going to get it then. Yes, there's assessor building notes, which is an Excel document. It's a great opportunity to get that clarified, but it's still on the team lead to circle back. Is the site coordinator aware of that? Are they tracking it? Is it a follow-up to say, oh, by the way, I'm done with assessor building notes and all square foot discrepancies are there? It's just that continued communication throughout, make sure that it doesn't get missed.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and then I saw Perry's hand go up and then back down.
I think I'm good, Justin. Monica is not the site coordinator for every project. You said she does all the FCAs.
Correct. Yeah, she's the site coordinator for the FY25 initial assessments that we're doing right now.
Okay.
But yeah, you may be working with a different site coordinator depending on the project you're on.
Right. Okay. No worries. I'll ask whoever is there if they're the person I need to be doing that with. But I'm good to go, brother.
Okay. Perfect. So the next new feature in the current version is the ability to save reference tables. So now on that main sheet, when you first open up the tool, you'll notice a new button. And this will let you save a copy of one or more of the reference tables off to your computer so that you can have that to reference back to. And I will go through each of those reference tables, starting with the component catalog. So I think Trevor already gave a rundown of what is in the component catalog that's available on the QC site. So this contains detailed information on every available component type, which is the lowest level of selection you can make in Builder. So it'll tell you things like if it is in scope, what's its design life, what is its unit cost, and so on. So the component catalog that the updater uses is a little bit different. It includes information for USA, which is US Army, MWA, and DLA. However, the USA information is the only data that we're currently maintaining. MWA and DLA data is still in there. It's just not currently being maintained. This is used by the tool to automatically populate equipment type and to downgrade DCRs based on the remaining service life or the use of R22 refrigerant. And like I mentioned, this is different from the component catalog that's available from the QC website. This version does not contain any of the calculation or other reference sheets that are included in that other component catalog. The next reference table is the standard comments. I know most of you are familiar with these by now. These tables were taken right out of the Jacobs guidance document. So there are the 5 inventory standard comments that are the IC 1 through 5. And there are also the 3 section detail standard comments, SD 1 through 3. And I just wanted to add a reminder in here that the inspection comment codes INSP 1 and 2, we used to use those, but they are no longer required. The updater is now automatically populating those standard comments whenever it's appropriate. Basically, whenever it's automatically downgrading based on service life or R22 refrigerant. Any questions there? Okay. The next one is the manufacturer list. This one is pretty simple. It just contains a list of the incorrect and correct manufacturer names. So an example there might be Trane, where the correct spelling is Trane, and you may have people that have used Train or Trayne, something like that, some variant. That we just want to map to the correct manufacturer name. The next table does a very similar function, but it looks at more fields in the database. So it's a more general find and replace. It contains a list of common misspellings and formatting errors. So you can see from the screenshot there, column A contains the incorrect value and column B contains the value that'll replace it. There's also in column C a value that specifies whether that search is case sensitive or not. So a 0 means that it is a case sensitive search and a 1 there means that it'll be case insensitive. And an example there is like %, where we don't care if it's lowercase %, uppercase %, or any variation in between. We always want to replace that word with the % sign. So that's a case insensitive search. You'll also see columns D through H specify which fields the replacement applies to. So since this is looking in all of those different fields, we may want it to search and make that replacement in one field, but not make that replacement in another. So for example, we don't want to replace the word % with a % sign if it's in the section name. And the last reference table is the SQL queries. So this contains the SQL queries that perform the actual automatic updates. This table contains about 99% of the logic that the updater tool runs. So this table includes the currently used queries and retired queries. So you'll see in column C, it'll say enabled, true or false, and all of the retired queries are false and highlighted red. I leave those in the table just in case we ever need to go back to logic that we were previously using. in case we want to re-implement it, or in case something goes wrong with new logic and we want to see maybe where we went wrong. Okay, any questions on any of the reference tables before I move on to the bread data structure and key terms? All right, not hearing any. So just to give a brief overview of the data structure and key terms when you're looking at bread files in Access. When you first open it up, you'll notice on the left-hand side, there's a list of tables. So the bread files contain several linked tables that together represent the entire data set. And the main tables that we're concerned with and that the updater touches are the facility table, component section, which is just all of your sections, the section details, and the inspection data table. So looking at a given table, this example is looking at the component section table. It starts with a record, and this is basically just another name for the row of that table. The next term is field. So each record in the table shares the same fields or columns in common. So again, field is just kind of another name for column, but whatever record you have in that table, they're all going to have the same fields. And then the value, this shows what the field of a record is equal to. So the other important note here is that blank values are called null. You may have a value that looks like it's blank, but it may be a space or some other, like a line break, just something that is non-printable. It doesn't look like anything, but it actually is a value. So anytime that field is entirely blank or just empty, it is actually called null. An important field that I wanted to talk about is bread status. This field exists in all of the tables that we change data in, and the value of this field tells Builder what to do with the record when that bread file is uploaded. So you can see all of the values in this component section table are N for that. And that's going to tell Builder that this is a new record that needs to be saved in the Builder database. If that value is U, it means that the record has been updated and Builder just needs to go and update that existing record. And finally, if that value is D, it means that we are trying to delete that existing record from Builder. Next term I wanted to talk about is GUID. This stands for Globally Unique Identifier, and it's used to uniquely identify each record in the data set. And these values are often used to link a record to another table. So for example, you can see in this component section, it's pointing to that one section that has that GUID starting in 082B. And if you open up the inspection data, you'll find that in the inspection or INSP data sec ID field, there is that same GUID. And that is what tells the database that that inspection event belongs to that section. So this is kind of how section details will get linked to a section, or inspection details will get linked to a section. And there's, like I mentioned before, a lot of tables that are linked in that way, and they have relationships that make it to where if you edit data in one table, it'll automatically modify the data in associated tables. Any questions on any of that? Okay, not hearing any. So I'll move on to the explanation of automatic updates performed. So the updater tool works by executing all of the enabled queries in that SQL queries reference table. SQL queries are commands that tell Access how to display or modify data. And all of the queries that we deal with are update queries, and those modify data, and they're structured like this. So they start with the word update, and then you can list a table or group of tables that you want to change data in. Then you use the word set, and that will say, I want to set this field equal to this value. And you can do that for one field value pair, or you can do it for multiple. So if we wanted to update the section detail table, but we wanted to change the ID, the location, and the manufacturer, we could do all of that at one time. And then one of the last things in that query is the where clause. So starting with these bullets, like I just mentioned, a single query can update one or more fields in one or more tables. Unions can also be used to link tables together. So data from one table can be used to update the data in another table. An example of when we might want to do this is to check the section year and make sure that the section detail date installed matches. And then lastly, talking about the where clause, this is what tells the query which records to update. It's important to always have a where clause, otherwise it will update every record in that table. Almost all of the updater tool queries include this clause so that it only performs the update if the bread status of that record is equal to N or U. Basically, we're only concerned in making updates to data that is brand new from our assessors, or it's been changed by our assessors. This way, it's not wasting time by updating anything that is marked for deletion by having a bread status of D, or if that bread status is null, meaning that the bread file came with legacy data that was not touched by the assessor. Any questions on any of that? Okay, not hearing any. So there are currently 39 enabled queries and 13 disabled queries. And again, those disabled queries are retained in the reference table just in case we ever decide to reinstate them. And the queries can be categorized into the following types of updates they perform, and those are cleanup, uniformity, find and replace, auto-populate, and QC process. So starting with the cleanup queries, these are used to nullify white space values and eliminate duplicate spaces and periods. So the first four are just nullifying white space. It looks at all of the comment fields, so the facility, section detail, or inspection comments, and any time that comment is just a space or a line break or some other white space character that just doesn't display anything, it just sets that value to null so that it's not taking up space in the database and just makes the data set a little bit cleaner. All of the following queries listed here clean out excess periods and spaces in all of those comment fields. I won't go through each of them. The next group are uniformity queries, and these are used to make the data more uniform across all assessors. So the first one here deals with the inspection date. It'll take the date that you specify in the main form and set all of the inspection dates equal to that date. The next three deal with section details. So the first one will look at all of the section detail fields and set them to either null or, if they are null or N-A, it'll set that value equal to NA, so that we're consistent in how we're saying those fields are not applicable. And I saw Brad's hand go up.
Yeah, quick question about setting the inspection date. Once you've set it once, is it set in stone, or if you need to redo the inspection date, can you change it by running the updater a second time?
Running the updater a second time would set it to whatever date you give it that second time. Yes. I'm not sure if that is true for the comment front end stamps though.
Okay.
If you change the date there, but you've already added front end stamps with a different date, I'm not sure if the date is updated. I would have to
Okay.
test that.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, excuse me, this is Nancy. That was something, I didn't have that issue here, but it was on last trip, so maybe it changed in the last month. But if you ran it with the wrong date, anything you added after that would have your new date, but it wouldn't correct the old ones.
In the stamps, you mean?
Right.
Yeah. And that may be something that we look into for a future update to this tool.
Okay.
Right. So the next query there just sets all of the section detail fields to make them all caps. And the next one deals with the date manufactured field. It will set that equal to the first day of the year specified in the date installed field if that date manufactured is null, or it's like, the first day of a different year. And finally, the last one sets all of the section names to all caps. Okay, the next queries are find and replace queries. These are used to find an incorrect value and replace it with a correct value. So the first one is the section detail date installed. This was actually a workaround from when Bread, there's a known bug in Bread that makes it to where you cannot edit the date installed field of the section details. We found a way around that if we modify that data type in the Bread file itself. But even then, sometimes that's missed during our file preparation. So we had come up with this query before we found that workaround, and it was basically that you would put that date in the warranty company field instead. So the updater still will look in the warranty company field and move whatever value is there into the date installed if it is a 4-year numerical date. Yeah, we're not really, I mean, this is still enabled, but like I say, we do have a different workaround that we've been using. So if you're still putting your date in the warranty company field, you probably don't still need to be doing that unless you're getting an error when you try to input that data in the date installed field. The next one is the section detail manufacturer correction. So this takes that manufacturer reference table and looks for any incorrect manufacturer names and replaces them with the correct manufacturer name. The next 4 deal with replacing those standard comment codes. So that's pretty basic. If you put IC2 in the inventory comment field, this goes and replaces it with whatever text is associated with that code. Next one down is the section name. I'm sorry, actually the last 4 or the last 5 all deal with the new find and replace reference table. So this just performs those find and replace searches in the facility comment, the section name, section comment, section detail comment, and inspection comment fields. Any question on those before I move to the auto-populate queries, because they're a little bit more involved? Teresa.
Yeah, so the error you were talking about in the install date. You're saying that's been corrected already? In
Yeah,
bread?
so it hasn't been corrected in the bread software, but we're able to make a change to that data type in the bread file that will allow you to put the date in the correct field. If you export a bread file straight out of Builder and open it up in bread and go to a section detail and try to put any value in the date installed field without prepping that file, it'll give you an error. So that's what we found a while back, and we came up with this query that would allow you to put it in the warranty company, and then the updater will move it after the fact. But we found a better way, which is just prepping that bread file to eliminate that error altogether.
Okay, and that's done before those files are sent out, before going in the field.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
But I think there's been 1 or 2 times where we forgot to make that change and sent bread files out to people where they were still getting that error. So this query is still enabled just for that reason. If you run into it anytime, you can still input that year in the warranty company field, and the updater will move it.
Okay.
Teresa, if you ever want to know how to do that fix in Access, just let me know and I can show you how to do it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, so any others, be ready. If you're at a point where you're managing your own file and it's not done right as a large collective, just know that it's out there. You reach out to the right person, be happy to show you how to do it. Then that gives the control to you to be able to change it, to make the updates you need to efficiently. And then, oh, by the way, you got to remember to change it back if you're going to import it, or Builder's going to kick it out. So it's just changing from a number to a short text and back. It's pretty slick.
Yep. Okay. So moving on to the auto populate queries. These are used to automatically populate a value to save assessors time and ensure consistency. These are a little more involved since they're actually doing some type of calculation and putting a value in so that the assessor doesn't have to worry about it. The first one here is the section detail missing comment. So this looks, and anytime it finds an NA value in any of the section detail fields that are required, it automatically populates that standard SD3 comment so that the assessor doesn't have to put SD3 in their comment field if things were missing from the nameplate. The next one populates the equipment type based on the assessor input and whatever is in the component catalog reference table. The one right after that basically takes any equipment type that was null or varies in that table and sets the value actually equal to null. So it just empties out that value. This way the QC tool will catch it and ask for more information because we have certain selections in the catalog that there's just too many options that could be a correct equipment type for it that we can't automatically populate it. So the tool will clear it out so that we can ask, okay, what was this actual equipment type so we can manually put it in. The next 4 have to do with that front end stamp. So this is just going to properly format and add that stamp based on the assessor name and the date that you entered on the main form and put it in front of any comment that doesn't already have it. And like we talked about earlier, if your comment already has that stamp, either from you putting it in manually or from you running the updater tool previously, it will ignore it. If it sees that stamp, it says, yep, I'm already good. I don't need to put a stamp. So that's something that may change here based on some of the comments you made about possibly using a wrong date on a previous run. The last 3 have to do with automatic downgrades based on service life or the presence of R22. So the first one looks at any assets that are either at their service life or they've passed their service life. So if you have an exhaust fan that had a service life of 20 years, but the asset is 22 years old, it's past its service life, and the updater tool will automatically downgrade it to amber and include that comment without you having to do that yourself. The same is true for the 75% service life. So if that same fan that was estimated to last 20 years is at 18 years, it's getting very close. So the tool is going to make sure that the highest rating it can get is an Amber Plus. And again, it'll insert that standard comment. So I think that the guidance that's been given with service life DCRs has been to just rate the piece of equipment as you see it. So if you walk up to it and nothing is really wrong with it, but you know that it's past its service life, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to downgrade it based on service life. The updater tool is going to do that for you. And I see a couple hands went up there. JT, your hand was up first.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna highlight to put a bow on the manufacturer list. Trevor was asking, how does this manufacturer correction list differ from the manufacturer list in our component catalog?
Okay, great question. And I'll pull over the manufacturer list to show that reference table. The only real difference is I think the list in the catalog only includes the correct manufacturers. So it's a short list because it won't have duplicates like this ABS Blast where there's 3 examples or 3 variants that we want to convert to this correct value. So this shows every incorrect variant that we've found in the data to date and what the correct manufacturer name should be. And the only reason that this is separate from the find and replace is because running the find and replace query on all of these different fields is actually pretty resource intensive. So it's a much shorter list of common misspellings and formatting errors, but the manufacturer list, I think there's several. Yeah, there's over 1,000 different variants that we're looking for. But since we're only looking for this in the manufacturer field of the section details table, it's a lot quicker to run more searches there. And then Perry, I saw your hand also.
Yes, sir. As far as taking pictures, I noticed this will change a piece of equipment. Suppose you rated it as a G- because you looked at it and that's what it looks like. And then the age says, okay, 75%, so therefore it should be rated amber. And you didn't take a picture of it because I know you got to have pictures. What's going to happen then?
Yeah.
You don't need to have a picture for things that are downgraded based on service life.
Okay.
It mentions that, and it's because there's no distress to take a picture of.
Okay.
But
All
you're
right.
not seeing a distress. If you see something that's picture worthy, then it's probably not G-.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. All right. I get it. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was another great question, Perry. And the reason that these 2 comment or the standard comments aren't required anymore is because the updater will do that anytime it makes that automatic downgrade. And I thought there was something in here that said, yeah, a photo won't be attached, but I think in the manual it specifies that, yeah, when you're doing a service life DCR, it doesn't require the photo, like Dean mentioned.
Okay, I think I remember that. It's been about a year or so since I've been in Builder. So this is a really good catch up. So thank you very much.
Sure.
And I'll take a quick
Thanks, Dean.
opportunity. INSP 1 and 2, it's still in our guidance document, right? We still speak to it, right?
I think
I think so.
we removed it.
Dean,
I'll have to look. I think Sarah took it out, but I'd have to double check.
I have it open right now. There's still a brief mention if I do a keyword search for INSP1. So no, it's not in its traditional sense. I just wanted to point out that, you know what, if this updater tool were to go away and you didn't have it, right, we're still applying service life methodology. Or if something is R22, right, to know it is to put it in the equipment type field, but then to know that there is a DCR implication that we have to follow through with. So I think it's still very applicable to be a part of the conversation, and it's understanding that the updater tool once was trying to do this to help you from having to copy and paste long text strings to now just give it the G-. You don't have to track the design life, and the tool itself is applying that methodology in order for us to produce a consistent product for the client.
Right. Yep. All right. Anything else before I cover that last one? It's very similar to the other two. It'll just do a similar downgrade based on if R22 is mentioned in the equipment type. So I think if anything is R22, the manual says that the best rating that can be given, I believe, is Amber Plus. So if you came up to a condensing unit that looked like it was in good shape, but you noted it was R22, again, you would rate that as you see it, not based on its R22 or age, and say, yep, this is G-, it's operating, minimal wear and tear. But then the updater will look at it and say, oh, I notice it's got R22 in the equipment type. I'm going to automatically downgrade it and apply that standard comment.
So we should add that when we're doing our data instead of letting it auto populate. Just put R22 in there, and
so
that's
you put R22 in the equipment type field, and that's all you
Okay.
need to put in there to let the updater know that that equipment is using R22.
And then it'll fill in whatever piece of equipment it actually is, but with R22 behind it after we run it
Exactly.
through the tool. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Thank you. This is a big help, so we appreciate it.
Oh, good. Glad to hear it.
And one more thing to that, R22 does not apply to everything. So if you accidentally put R22 in an FACP field, right, wrong component, it's not going to just throw fire alarm control panel, comma space R22. So that is linked back to last month's talk, the component catalog, and the need for there to be an equipment type 1, 2, and 3 column, which the updater tool is using.
Correct.
Does that help, buddy?
Yeah, I mean R22 is only for HVAC equipment.
Right. I'm just saying if you accidentally put it into something that we're saying is not R22 applicable, the updater tool is not just going to blindly follow through with all of this and then give it an Amber Plus, right? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
But if you were to select like this furnace, but this furnace used R22, all you would need to put in the equipment type field is R22. And then it's going to look here and it's going to say, oh, I see R22 in the equipment type, so I know I need to be using the equipment type 2. And it'll populate this value in there instead.
Got you. Okay. Understood.
Justin, one question on equipment type. I know it doesn't auto-populate when we select components that are other, because it would have no way of knowing what to put in there. But I know the one, the D50 1090 that we use for the surge suppressors, we have that set, I believe, if they put something other than TVSS, it'll change it to TVSS. Is that correct?
I think that there are a few cases where it does require the assessor to put in some kind of manual code or value, and those are laid out in the Jacobs guidance. I
Right.
believe that TVSS is one of them.
Yes, it's that one, and then all of E10 9090 for sure.
Because people
Just
get
put
used
it
to
in
that.
yourself.
People get used to the updater populating that. Just a reminder that when you're using the others, you've got to put something in there. The updater's not going to fix that part.
Yeah, it looks like if you select the D501090 other service and distribution other, it looks like it may auto-populate TVSS in there. And that could be the only other that it considers and will actually put in a value for.
That could be an
I
issue
think-
in some cases where we use it for something that's not a TVSS.
Yeah, I think that we fixed that, Justin. I think that's why column 2 now has varies. That was built into the logic. So anything that's other, whether that's material category, other, general, or it's a general other, the intent there is that the updater tool is not going to touch it unless you put something in. That was the thing with FACPs. There's one component type that we're using for 3 different scenarios: FACP, mass, combo. And the problem in previous versions, the importance to always use the latest updater tool was that they were being left blank, auto-populating FACP, and in cases that was not the case. It was a different. So E109090, this D501090, but you have D509090, which is another one. So that's a case where the component catalog, if it gives you an example, it's just because TVSS is the most common, let's throw it in there so it's searchable.
Yeah, so that's why these values are in here. I think if the assessor manually types in, like selects this other and then types in TVSS or types in battery charger, the updater is going to say, yes, that's the correct equipment type. It doesn't populate anything in there. It just checks to make sure it's one of these 2 values. And if it's not, it will nullify it, and that'll get caught by the QC flag.
Quick question on that. Will if you say you didn't put TVSS, but you put in the inventory comment, because you have to have that as well in there, that it's, this component is a TVSS. Does that help with the tool, or it just keeps you from getting a flag that there's no inventory comment?
It won't. It will. I mean, it'll alert the QC team or whoever's reviewing it that, that's the value that should have been put in there. But the updater tool is not looking at the comment to help it determine the equipment type.
Copy. Thank you.
Sure. All right. I'll move on to the last group of queries, and these are the QC process queries. There's only 2 of them, and they just basically help the QC team to process your bread files. So the first one is the inspection window. This just updates a value in the configuration table to extend the inspection editing window. I think that by default, it will only, or bread will only let you edit an inspection if it's 30 days old or newer. And the updater will extend that out to 180 days because often, we're making changes to people's inspections, after that 30-day window expired.
Hallelujah.
What's that?
Hallelujah.
Yep. And then the last one is the new team lead feature, and this is just setting that bread status equal to null, or clearing out whatever value might have been in there if the assessor was not the team lead. So like I say, the data, whatever changes they made are still in the data, so they can go back and look at the building level comment. If they were using that to kind of take their own notes, but the bread status gets cleared out so that their change doesn't actually take in the builder database. And then the last bullet here, it's not an actual query, but the updater tool is also adding or appending a table named updater log. And that table logs the version number of the tool being used, the date and time, and a summary of any errors encountered every time that the tool is run on a bread file. And those updater runs come into Alluvial, so the QC team and project management are able to see how many times the updater was run and if errors were encountered, and make sure that the proper version was being used. And that brings us to the end, so I'll open it up for any questions. Not hearing. Oh, I see Ran. Go ahead.
Do we have a charge code for this time? I tried to put in the 24 site SME we used last year and it's not accepting it.
JT or Anthony, do we know where we want time to be charged for these moving forward?
For at least this month and the next 2 months, it'll be going to the Sierra assessment task. So there will always be a billable number for these events. So we want to encourage max participation or watching recordings later. So we can put that in the chat as well, but the code is D3800500. And it's the Sierra assessment.
All right, I can throw that in the chat. I've got it. Oh, you've already.
Sorry, beat you to it. Great question. Thank you for asking.
Yep. And Jacob, I see your hand up.
I just wanted to know where we can obtain the download link for the newest version of this updater tool.
So that I'll go back to one of the earlier slides. Sorry. And this is the same, it's the QC tool website. So it's the same website that you go to upload your bread file to run through the QC tool.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yep.
And I hope some of you see that those file names have been updated. So the version is now put into the file name. Previous version, we had simplified it, right? So it would have just said component catalog, and then no one would have known what version other than having to download it and then open it to see if the version control was embedded in the document itself. So we took feedback, and now you should see, if you ever question if you have the most up-to-date, the QC website is where you go for that downloadable. In years past, right, it would be shared from one project to the next, and we've gotten away from that. So if anyone is trying to go to past projects to find the Army manual or Jacob's guidance document, that is the wrong way to do it. You run the risk of just grabbing outdated files and using them when this is the one-stop shop for the latest and greatest.
Thanks, Trevor.
Okay.
Teresa?
Is there a new version of the updater tool for Be Ready specifically?
Great question. There is not, but I will put that out this afternoon.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you for the reminder.
So would that always be a separate tool?
It is. The only difference there is in the front end stamp that's applied to comments. So that may be something that we consider for a future improvement, is just being able to modify how that front end stamp is formatted.
It sounds like it could be a checkbox, just like Team Lead.
I think it could be, yeah, or even just something that, yeah, by default is Jacob's but if you needed to modify, the firm part of that comment front end, you could put in whatever text you needed.
Yeah, so a lot of what I'm working on right now, I'm using the words company or affiliation.
Yep.
So the Be Ready timestamp is almost an affiliation. Some work that we've been doing at a higher level is the Army comes back and says, use G-4 blah, blah, blah. That in my mind is affiliation, right?
Yep, exactly.
It's like DPW, it's DPW PM or whoever's doing the work, their title.
Yep. Now, and that would be easy enough to just have it be an editable field on that main form, so that we could just change that for whatever client we're working with.
This is
Perfect.
Dane. Would that work for National Guard as well? Assessments?
So I think that particular thing, we would still want to use Jacobs in the name unless I'm wrong there. Somebody can correct me.
Yeah, Elena sent one.
Yeah, that's correct. Use the
Okay.
standard tool for National Guard, please. Thanks.
All right, and I see Mark's
Super.
hand.
Yeah, you might have covered this. I'm not sure. I might have missed it. When you run the updater, does it, if you change the component type, does it change does it wipe out the name in the section details, the equipment type? Does it change it automatically, or is that something, should we wipe that out first? I've been meaning to ask you this, actually.
The updater tool will wipe it out and replace it with the correct equipment type, as long as that's specified in the component catalog.
Okay.
So yeah, it will actually look at something called the CMC of that section. So
Right.
if you change it at the section level, but you don't change anything in the section details, it's still going to go based off of that CMC value and look at the equipment type value that's associated with that CMC and pop it in.
Okay. Okay.
In almost every case, it's going to ignore whatever is written there, or if it's blank, if it's a null value, and just populate the standard value that's in the component catalog. The only cases where it's going to look for a little bit extra from the assessor is when there's R22 and you have to actually type R22 to help it out. Or for those other, like the TVSS, battery charger, fire alarm control panel, there's a couple other things mentioned in the Jacobs guidance.
Does it default, let's say I choose fire alarm panel, does it default to FACP or fire alarm control panel, or do I need to type that in every time? Because I know, like, if it's a combination one, I have to do that. Or if it's mass notification, I should do that as well.
I will have to look into that logic and see, but I'm pretty sure you would still have to type FACP there.
Okay.
I can say I've been pretty vocal with wanting to make sure that got implemented.
The default, or
no, that you had to type in FACP. You had to be intentional to get the tool to update it. So for 95% run-of-the-mill equipment types, as Justin just shared, you don't have to worry about wiping it out. It's going to make that correction on your behalf, right? And then the QC tool is looking at the same catalog, so that just validates that it happened, right? So if QC tool throws a bunch of flags and it's let's step back one step, which has happened. But for that other 5%, so these general others, R22 will always need a little extra care. You just have to be a little more intentional to make sure that you updated your component type, which was at CMC. Oh, R22 applies. Let me make sure that I put R22 in the equipment type and then run the updater tool.
Thank you.
So that's always going to matter. Yep. And so Justin, I'm getting 2 takeaways for version 7.7 already in the works. If you've tracked that by chance.
Yes, I think so. I'm tracking the inspection date, being able to run it again and have it update the date in the front end stamps, and being able to have a text field on that main form that would allow you to specify something other than Jacobs that goes in the front end stamp.
Yep, that's what I'm tracking. And I think, the timestamp has always been tricky. You run the updater tool and you had the wrong date. It got populated. It's easy to change that single field of an inspection date, those inspection events that you put in. But the hard part becomes, a timestamp is in. How do you identify and ensure that you're not creating 2 timestamps or 3 timestamps, right? Every time that you run it, because you can run the tool multiple times. I think that's always been the challenge of getting it to that next step.
Exactly. That is the tricky part. And I will say kind of a limitation of SQL code, in my opinion, is that it's kind of difficult to parse out a certain part of that text and just replace that part of it. So if it sees that there's already a stamp there, it's pretty easy to recognize the stamp using the straight brackets. But to just replace the date, we have kind of a variance of different date formats that get used. So it would be kind of tricky for it to go in and just recognize the date at the end, because some people might put, we try and standardize it by using, single digit month, single digit day, whenever the month or day is, 9 or less, and then a 4-digit year. And there's even been talks about, possibly just switching to month and year. So it's always going to be a little bit tricky in that regard. But what I'm thinking would probably be best is just to remove the entire stamp and replace it with a new full stamp that has the correct date. So it should be able to be accomplished. I just have to look into it a little bit.
Yeah, and it's the fact that there's a bunch of projects and different work out there, right? Some aren't responsible needing to change a comment or that timestamp. The old one could be fine, right?
Right.
There's just enough variance out there to make it interesting or challenging, whatever word you want to use.
Both are good. Trying to open up the Q&A. I thought I might have seen something there.
Just Trevor's question from earlier. I don't see anything else.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'd seen some chat of billable, non-billable. That was getting clarified.
Gotcha. All right.
Perfect. I don't see any other questions.
All right. Sounds good. I know we went a little bit over time, but I hope this was helpful. And the last reminder I'll put in here is just please reach out anytime for assistance with this tool or any of the other macro-based tools. And even if you don't need assistance, you can still ping me or send an email to provide suggestions or any other feedback that you might have.
Great job, Justin.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Again, guys, this is recorded, so you should see it in this chat in your teams to the left. You should see that recording pop up here shortly once I end the call. Thank you.
Thank you.
These
JT.
things are a
Thank
great
you.
idea.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Glad to hear it, Dane. Thanks.